Hello everyone and welcome to Turn 1 Soaring, your show on Everything Commander. I'm your host Alex, and today we'll be talking about all the new legends in Amonkhet. First of all, I'm not very impressed by the gods, but I like the other ones, so let's go with this. We'll start with Okitra the True. It is the white god, 4 mana for a 3/6 legendary creature god. It has double strike, indestructible. Okitra the True cannot attack or block unless you control at least 3 other creatures, and you may pay 3 generic and 1 white to create a 1/1 white warrior creature with vigilance. Actually, I think this one it might be the better of the gods to play as a commander. You can have a pretty effective Voltron, since white is the best Voltron color, and you have an indestructible double striker, so that's perfectly good stats for a Voltron commander. Now the requirement to attack might be a bit of a problem, but usually one of the big problems with Voltron is that sometimes you run out of cards if you don't have, unless you're running SRAM or something like that, or you don't know what you do with your mana. So this guy provides you the mana to create your tokens, which can also act as protection, because one of the big problems with Voltrons is you attack, and unless your commander has vigilance, now you're defenseless most of the time. Also, with just the good utility creature that Voltron deck has usually, it should be good enough, I think, as a commander, even though I would probably not play Okitra as a Voltron commander. But I mean, if you want to play Isamaru, for example, I think Okitra might just be as good, probably better. You have a requirement, but I think it's not a very hard one to get, because I mean, all you need to do is, Pure Steel, SRAM, if you get Stone Ewer Giant and Stoneforge Mystic, well, if you have all the good creature Voltron commander usually have, you should be perfectly fine running 3 or more creatures at the time. Next we have Kefnet the Mindful. It is a 3 mana 5/5, 2 generic, 1 blue. It is a legendary god as well. It has flying, indestructible. Kefnet the Mindful cannot attack unless you have cannot attack or block unless you have 7 or more cards in hand, and you get to pay 4 mana to draw a card. Then you may also return a land you control to its owner's hand. I think this guy is very bad. I mean, I don't see why you would play this over anything else. I understand that, every commander is going to get played, every legendary creature is going to get played by someone, maybe just because they pulled it in a pack, or they just like the art or whatever. I mean, it's a god, it's a mythic rare god, so of course some people are going to play it. But I mean, we had Barrel last turn, last set, which is, in my opinion, way better for this kind of deck. The biggest problem with this is that sure, it's a 5/5 flying for 3 mana, but the condition is so steep. Unlike Okitra, which, having 3 creatures is not something that's very hard to have, but having 7 cards in hands or more, I mean, sure, if you already have 7 or more cards in hand, the only reason why I would see that you would play the guys, if your deck is bad and you have a huge average converted mana cost, so you're always stuck with a bunch of cards in hand and not as much mana as you want. So yeah, this guy works for that. But if you want to play like a blue control deck with counter spells, I mean, this guy is unplayable with counter spells, because you're just going down a card whenever you want to remove something. It's not a good Drago commander. Sure, it draws you card and puts you up a card advantage, but it's 4 mana for 1 card, or 2 if you want to bounce land and lose tempo. So in my opinion, this is a very bad mono blue commander. I mean, you have Azami. I mean, Azami exists. I have no idea how you would play this over Azami. How you could justify yourself. No, if you want the best deck possible, how you could play this over Azami. Now, sure, again, some people are gonna play it. I just don't think it's a good card, and I don't think you should play it unless you have a very good reason, which I cannot come up with personally. So yeah, no, it might be one of the worst. Well, it's probably one of the worst, but it might not be the worst. It's utterly unimpressive, and I would never build this guy personally because I don't see why. I don't see any of the advantage he has over something like Baral or Azami, except a better body. But then you have to play with you get to don't play magic if you want to attack this guy. You just keep your cards in hand, nice and tight, and swing without playing. So yeah, I don't. Yeah, it's not for me. It's probably not for you. Not impressed. Next, we have Buntu the Glorified. It is a 4/6 for 3 mana, 1 black and 2 generic. It is also a legendary god. It has Menace and Indestructible. Buntu cannot attack or block unless one of your creature died this turn. And you get to pay 2 mana, sacrifice another creature, and you can scry 1, and each opponent loses 1 life and gain 1 life. And you gain 1 life. Okay, so this one is actually probably one of the better, one of the most commander-based gods, because it's not something that I would ever play in Standard. I mean, I don't play Standard, but I know what cards are good for Standard, and something that doesn't give you card advantage and sacrifice creatures is not something that's good. Now, it's the one that I'm the most disappointed with, because black is my favorite color. I love playing black. My favorite deck is my mono black deck, and I was expecting, and I run Erebos as a commander, so I was expecting maybe something that I could replace with. But this guy is a completely different strategy than Erebos, at least for me, and I'm underwhelmed by his abilities. The body is fine. Menace is a fine ability, not as useful as flying, obviously, but or double strike. But Menace is certainly better than. I mean, I'm glad they changed Intimidate and Fear and replaced it with Menace. But overall, the ability is 2 mana and a creature for very little. I mean, you might as well play Obnixilis, the commander, like the Planeswalker one, if you want to run this as a commander, because at least you don't get to sacrifice a creature and you gain more life of his +1. Of course, it doesn't have a body, but it's also, it's a Planeswalker. So yeah, I mean, I don't think this guy is going to be bad per se in commander. It's going to be a fine starter commander if you want to start playing black and you just want a few, it's going to be well enough. It's going to be a completely interchangeable commander with a bunch of other ones. If you just want, if you have a few different legendary creature in your deck, like in your mono black deck, and sometimes you just feel like swapping them out, this one's going to do a fine job. It's not going to be impressive. Scry Run is going to smooth your draw. It's going to be an incremental advantage, but just draining people for 2 mana. I mean, it's really the cost of the ability that kills it. If it was 1 mana, it would be fine. Wouldn't be amazing, but it would at least be fine. At 2 mana, it kills it, because you get to just straight up draw a card for 2 mana with the other god. So, yeah. Overall, it's gonna be a fine commander. Good for starter, but I was expecting more, and I'm just not impressed overall, which is a feeling I have with pretty much every single of the gods, but in this set at least. But yeah, nothing to write home about. Next up, we have Zoret the Fervent. It is a 5/4 for 4 mana, 3 generic, 1 red. It is a legendary god. It has Indestructible and Aced. It cannot attack or block unless you have 1 or fewer cards in hand, and you get to pay 3 mana, discard a card, and shock each opponent. So. I think it's the worst one in Commander by very far. Possibly, actually, maybe not. Maybe it might be a slightly worse than Kefnet, I think, just because Kefnet gives you card advantage at least, which is one of the most important thing in Commander, and this one actually gives you a card disadvantage. But I would see something that you can build with Azoret that you cannot, something different from other mono red decks. And even if it's not that different, at least you have a pretty effective beater in the command zone. The problem I have is Haste is a very good ability, but it's only good for one turn, and if you're not gonna replay this guy, which you probably won't that much, because there's not that many removal that gets rid of indestructible beers, and most importantly, that you would not kill something more important with. And I mean, 2 damage to each opponent is very small. So unless you're running pretty much every damage doubling effect, like Furnace of Wrath and Dictates of the Twin Gods and Gratuitous Violence, it's not going to be very effective. But you could make a deck with that. You could make a deck a pure burn deck, and you pretty much have, just all the damage doubling effect, all the Wildfires, all the Infernos, and you just go with it. Because it's a pretty cheap beater for what it does, and it's not a hard condition to meet to have 1 card or less if you're playing a mono red deck in Commander. It's very simple. It's very easy. It might be a problem, but if your payoff is a 5/4 indestructible beaters, it might be good enough. Personally, I would not play this guy in Commander. I might play it in a deck, but I would most certainly not play it as the commander of my deck. But again, some people are going to play it. It's a god, it's a mythic rare. Some people are going to open it in a pack and they're going to go, I want to build this guy. So all I can say is try all the damage doubling effects, try probably a burn deck. That would be pretty much it as far as I'm concerned for Azoret. It's not impressive. I'm more lenient towards it than Kefnet, because I think Kefnet is just terrible for what it does. I mean, I just don't see the point of running Kefnet. While Azoret, I can actually see a reason. Maybe you just want pretty much a ball lightning in the command zone, and if that's good enough for you, good. And to finish with the gods, we have Ronus, the Indomitable. It is a 5/5 for 3 mana, 2 generic and 1 green. It is, again, a legendary god. It has Death Touch and Indestructible. Ronus cannot attack or block unless you control another creature with power 4 or greater. And you get to pay 3 mana and give another target creature, just another target creature, +2/+0 and trample until the end of turn. So this one is probably the second best to play in Commander. Now I'm gonna say, I don't know why. I don't exactly have a reason why I think I like this guy more than, let's say, Nylea, because technically Nylea is better. It might be more expensive, but it gives trample to everything, and you give +2/+2 for 4 mana instead of +1/+2, and even though it doesn't give trample, Nylea does, so it's not a problem. And I just don't know why I like this guy more than Nylea. Probably the Death Touch. I think Death Touch is a great ability in Commander, especially in green, since it's so easy to give something trample, and Death Touch and trample is just perfect. It's a fantastic combo. I think also the condition to play Ronus is probably the easiest one to meet, because if you're playing Commander, 4 power is nothing, especially if it can actually give +2/+0 to a creature for just 3 mana. I think it might be the best. Well, it's not. I think Okitra is the best, but overall, Ronus is pretty good. Again, I don't know why I'm more lenient toward him than Nylea, because I think Nylea is a very boring commander, and I don't know why I see this guy as more fun, but I do. possibly just because you actually have to work a bit with it. It's cheaper also. I like cheaper commanders. And overall, this one is fine. It's a giant snake too. That's pretty cool. So, yeah, Ronus is fine. Again, I don't think it's gonna be just beats. Fine commander for big beater decks. I would obviously there's a better commander than Ronus for just a green stumpy deck, but if it's the one you got, it's gonna be great. It will work fine in the 99 too, because it's also is a pretty big beater with a very easy condition to meet. So yeah, I think this one's fine. Again, I'm not overwhelmed by the gods in the set. I think nobody is. I hope nobody is. Not necessarily because I think the Theros one are better, because I think these, as far as most formats, are better than the Theros gods. But the biggest problem with these ones is that they were not geared toward commander. You could feel that most of the gods in Theros were meant to be commander. I mean, Perforos was not a commander. A good legendary creature to play in standard or whatever, but in commander it's amazing. It's an amazing commander. Perforos might be one of the strongest mono red commander. Also, I think one of the reasons why the gods in Theros were better, and when I talk about the gods in Theros, I talk only about the mono-colored one, is that they had both two abilities. As simple as that is, instead of having a keyword, which isn't nearly as impressive, they had both an activated ability and a static ability. And some of those you play for the static, like Perforos. If Perforos would only say, 3 mana, creature you control get +1/+0 until end of turn, I don't think you'd be impressed by Perforos. I don't think you would see as much play as he does. While on the other end, Erebos, if it only said, your opponent cannot gain life, I wouldn't play that. I would never play Erebos as a commander. But since his activated ability is very good, I mean, I play him. So I think that's mostly the reason why these gods seems very underwhelming compared to the Theros ones, because they only have one abilities, and they're not very pushed as far as the ability is. I mean, sure, they have very good bodies, but the abilities in themselves is not impressive at all. So that would be my thoughts on the gods of Amonkhet. Now, however, I think the other legendary creature, most of them are very interesting, so let's start with those. So, the first non-god legendary creature in the set is Temet, Vizier of Naktamun. It's King Tut. Let's go with King Tut. It is a 2/2 for 2 mana, white and blue. It is a legendary human cleric. And at the beginning of your combat phase, target creature token gets +1/+1 and is unblockable until the end of turn. And it also has Embalm 3 generic, white and blue. What do I think about Temet? I think it's a very good commander. One of the reasons why I think it's very good is because it gives you something that you didn't have before. I cannot think of any single other white-blue commander that screams white-blue tokens. And I don't think white-blue actually has any token commander for it, and this gives you one. Now, what's also interesting is that it's a very different kind of token commander, because while most token decks wants you to go wide, this one actually wants you to go tall. And there's plenty of blue cards, mostly blue cards that allow you to create tokens out of actual creatures. Well, in white cards you can Seance. Now Seance doesn't work so well with this guy, but there's plenty of things you can do to actually create tokens of a very good creature. Tokens of Inkwell Bema. Inkwell Leviathan, I think. Tokens of, let's say, Midomai the Ageless. Tokens are just very good creature that you can now turn unblockable and give them a little power buff. So I think it's a very interesting commander. Also, the fact that he has Emblem on it just makes it so much better. Because he will... I mean, every commander that you can send to the graveyard and just use from there is fantastic, especially if you can actually replay a copy of it from your graveyard and directly send it to the command zone. Because now you actually only pay twice the mana. The cost ramps much slower if you can pretty much recast it from your graveyard. So now let's say he dies, you send it to the graveyard, you pay the embalm cost, now you exile it from the graveyard, so you send it back to the command zone, but you still have the bonus on the battlefield. You still have your commander on the battlefield, even though it doesn't do commander damage since it's a token, it's not the actual card. But still, now you have a perfectly good token of it, and you still get the effects, so honestly, it's fantastic. I just think it's so good to have a commander that you can have on the battlefield and in your command zone at the same time, because then the embalm cost never increases. So, I mean, the commander cost does, but you play your commander, it gets killed, it goes to the graveyard, you pay 5 to embalm it, it goes to the command zone, now you have to pay 4 to replay it. But you still have your commander on the battlefield, so when the token dies again, then you pay 4 to replay it, which you should have paid 6 because your commander died twice, but now it only died once. The other one was just a token. So overall, I think it's a very interesting commander. I think it's a very good commander because it brings something new to commander. I don't think it's going to be like a top tier commander. It's not going to be it's not Azami, it's not Azusa, it's not Anafenza. It's just a good commander, and I like to see commanders that bring new strategy to the game. So that's my thoughts on King Tut. Pretty good. It's very good. It's very interesting. It probably is the white-blue commander I would make, because most of the other ones don't interest me at all. But this one is, I think, just very good. So next we have Neheb the Worthy. It is a 2/2 for 3 mana, 1 generic black and red. It is a legendary Minotaur warrior with first strike. Other Minotaurs you control have first strike. As long as you have 1 or fewer cards in hand, Minotaurs you control get +2/+0. And when Neheb the Worthy deals combat damage to a player, each player discards a card. So, I know many people have been waiting for a Minotaur Lord for a while, as a commander, as a legendary Minotaur. So here it is. Now you can stop running Mogus as your commander. Actually, this is a pushed Lord. I mean, wow. +2/+0. First strike, and you already have a Minotaur Lord that gives Trample and a Minotaur Lord that gives Death Touch. So now you get first strike, Death Touch, Trample. Yeah, this is getting serious, guys. Also, it has fun synergy with Albent, and as well as Madness, which Madness was, Red Black Madness was Shadow of Innistrad's main play. So this is great. Hellbent was Ravnica's original Ravnica, which meant don't have cards in hand, you get bonus. So this is great. You can also play a bunch of flashback card with this. Overall, I think it's a great legendary creature, and I'm happy for most people who want to play tribal Minotaur that they finally get their commanders. Now, I would personally, I like tribal decks, but I'm not a big fan of Minotaurs, especially in these color, because I play goblins in Ragdos. I have a auntie, Mad Hunt. Is it Wart Mad Auntie deck? Yeah, I have a Wart because there's 2 Warts, so I get confused with the name sometimes. But yeah, I have the Ragdos Wart deck for my goblins, and the difference with the two is this one gives you card disadvantage, while Wort gives you card advantage. For a tribe with, for overall a better tribe, just because of how much support Goblin got over the 2 decades that Magic's been out. Goblin has been one of the major tribe for all that time, while Minotaur not really, of course, even though you can't play didgeridoo, so that's fun. But yeah, so overall it's a very good legendary Minotaur, way better than what the people who've wanted their legendary werewolf for a while got. But yeah, so I'm happy they did not drop the ball on this one. So that one is perfectly good, perfectly fine. I'm happy if you want to play Minotaur Tribal with this. I'm glad you guys got what you wanted. So congrats to you all, and I'll be waiting to see how that goes. Next we have Apatra, Vizier of Poisons. It is a 2-mana 2/2, black and green. It is a legendary cleric, a human cleric, with whenever Apatra, Vizier of Poison deals combat damage to a player, you may put a -1/-1 counter on target creature, and whenever you put one or more -1/-1 counter on a creature, you create a 1/1 snake with Death Touch. This is personally my favorite commander of this set. I don't think it's the best one, but it's the one that fits me the most. First, green-black is my favorite colors, by far. By a long mile, green-black is my favorite combination. And I love grindy decks. I love to grind the game out. So something that gives -1/-1 counters and it gives me Death Touch Snake is just, it's my name is written all over it. I just love this kind of creature, this kind of commander, and this kind of play style. I'm a stacks player mostly. Death and Taxes, I just like it. Now, this one gives me a lower powered version of it, but most importantly, I think it's, off the top of my head, I think it's the first commander to really synergize with -1/-1 counters. And I think, again, as I was saying about King Tut, commanders that bring something new to the table are always fantastic in my opinion, even if they're lower powered. Also, I like commanders that don't cost much, so 2 mana is exactly what I like. And yeah, just the snakes. I mean, there's so many good -1/-1 counters in this set, and just to be able to create either to flood the board with a bunch of Death Touch Snake, to grind the game to a halt, and just win slowly over it. This is exactly my kind of playstyle, and I love this guy. I love Apatra. Well, this girl mostly. I love Apatra. It's if I were to build a deck from one of the commanders this set, it would be that one. Now, I don't think it's the best green-black commander, because green-black commanders are, so many of them are amazing, but it's probably one of my favorites just because it's the grindiest. I know many people are gonna hate me just because I love grindy decks, but yeah, this is, if you love slower decks, play this guy. Play Cleopatra, and yeah, I think to me it's 10 out of 10. I mean, it's hitting all the chords for me. So I have some hard time judging it from a unbiased viewpoint, but overall, I really don't think it's the best commander, the best new legendary creature in the set, but it absolutely is my favorite. So I'm very happy to see this guy, because I will probably build it sometime in the future. Last but not least, we have Samut, or Samut, Voice of Dissent. It is a 3 generic, red and green, 3/4. It is a legendary human warrior, and it has all the keywords: Flash, Double strike, vigilance, aced. Other creatures you control have aced, and you get to pay 1 white and tap her to untap another target creature. Ooh, where to start? It single-handedly became my favorite Naya commander, because of course it's Naya. There's white in the text box, so that gives us, because Marat is fine. It's not fine. It's very powerful, but it's not exactly my type of playstyle. If I want to play Naya, I want to go just big dumb beaters into your face, and this one does exactly that. All the Q. I mean, it's amazing. It's an amazing commander. To me, it's the strongest legendary creature in the set. No contest, because I mean, it's 6 power for 5 mana with flash. It has ace and vigilance. You give all the other creatures ace. You can, oh my god, it's a beautiful card because there's so much self synergy going on. I mean, sure, flash and ace doesn't give it much synergy, but the fact you can flash it, use the ability, and then to untap a surprise blocker, and overall, I just think it's a great card. It's a fantastic Naya commander. It's a fantastic 3-color commander. To me, it's better than Gahiji. It's better than Mael. It's better than... Well, it might not be better than Marat, but to me, it's more fun than Marat. It's a very simple commander. It really is, because all you have to do is you play her... instant speed at the end of someone else's turn, and you just all your big dumb creatures that come afterward have haste and can swing right off. It's obviously fantastic with Godsire. yeah. Wow, I want to see that happen. But it's a great legendary creature. It's a fantastic commander. It's so good. There's so many different ways to build it, because you can build her Voltron. Because, I mean, she absolutely has the stats to go Voltron. Sure, it may not have any evasion, but you are playing in colors that can give her easily trample, that can give her, maybe not flying so easily, but plenty of things. First strike, you don't need first strike. She has double strike already, so, yeah. You can obviously build her tokens, just a swarm of tokens and swing, even though I think Gahiji might be slightly better for tokens. But you can just build her Naya Stumpy. Just, big creature, and the biggest danger with big creature is that they come, usually they don't have haste, and now, Wrath of God or any other removal, they untap, they have a removal, and you just spend a bunch of mana on the creature for it to get removed, and this just makes sure that you get some value out of your creature. So overall, I think it's probably the best legendary creature in the set. So I kind of want to build her too. I've never been interested in Naya before. It's not really my playstyle, but this one pushes it really far, and I might be interested in seeing how that plays. So that would be it for Samut, Voice of Dissent, and for all the legendary creature in the set. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it gave you a bit of an insight. If you want me to build one of the creatures, because I'll be trying to make videos about me building decks. If you maybe have, you want a playstyle, you want a color you don't want to build, you have a legendary creature that you want to build but you don't know how or what to do with it, send me an email. The email address will be in the comment section. It will be Turn 1 Soul Ring. It'll be in the comment. So that would be it for today. Again, for this set, I would like you if you just send me, since there's a new set coming out, just send me an email or comment in the comment section about which one do you want me to build, maybe how to build it, but mostly just which one you want me to build. If you have an interesting idea and something that's out of the ordinary, go ahead and send me a suggestion. I will gladly make a video and to talk about it. So thank you for listening, guys and gals. And see you next time.